Hey, good morning, everybody. I'm about to go live here in just a couple of minutes. I have an amazing guest to join us. I think you're going to really enjoy this interview. Not the first time I've interviewed this guy. So we'll be back in a minute with my guest and a few more things. This is Al Gettler Live. Good morning, everybody. Al Gettler here. My goodness, my old friend, Sonia LaRock. So good to have you here this morning, Sonia. Hello, hello. Hope the weather is as gorgeous down by you as it is up here, but fantastic. Well, if you joining me for the first time, my name is Al Gettler. You saw from the intro, tons of fabulous interviews that I've done over the years here. Absolutely great stuff. It's kind of interesting. I have here at my desk a plastic cup from Disney World. It is simply... like a plastic cup you'd buy just to get your drink. So this is the cup you actually buy so you can drink throughout the park when you buy the meal plan. But what on earth? Why would I save this cup for as long as I have? And especially, why would I put my name at the bottom of it to make sure everybody knows it's mine? Well, we're going to be talking about that in a minute. That's part of the Disney magic. And the guy we have coming here is going to be talking about that Disney magic. I'll tell you something else that's cool when you go to Disney World. You collect these pins, right? And you know what I'm talking about, the pin business. We can ask our guest about this in a minute. The pin that I have that is most special to me from my Disney experience is from our guest today. It is the leadership pin. It is an official Disney pin, and it's from Lee Cockerell, and it's one that he gives out. I met Lee. He has really done so much in my career just by reading some of his books. He has a great collection of books that he has written, Creating Magic being the one that I first discovered Lee in reading and understanding the Disney phenomenon. And then, of course, Time Management Magic, nuts and bolts, manage your time to be a great and successful leader. Another book, just hugely important to me, The Customer Rules. So much practical advice here on how to work with your customers day in and day out. A lot of people say deal with your customers. No, you don't deal with your customers. You work with them and you do things to create magic. We're going to talk about how magic is made. I mentioned time management magic. Lee has done a full course on this as well that you can get on his website. So there's lots of really good stuff there from Lee that you can go ahead and look up as a resource. But just fantastic. And finally, I think just this week, a brand new book featuring Dan Cockerell, happens to be related to Lee. That's his son, who is vice president of the Magic Kingdom, and his daughter-in-law, Valerie, who have a consultancy and have put together a brand new book. So fantastic. So today We're going to be talking about the difference between leading and managing by doing things right and by doing the right things and the hard things. I want to make sure I get these quote right. Let me bring on the screen right now, joining us from Orlando, Florida, my friend, I think I can call him my friend, Lee Cockerell. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning, Al. Good to see you.
Good to see you, my friend. And you got a bright, sunny shirt on there today, huh?
Yeah, my granddaughter gave this to me. She lives in Colorado, apparently. This is their logo in Colorado, so I like it.
Nice. Not unlike the view from my backyard in the wintertime when the Green Mountains are covered with snow. So that's not bad at all. Well, Lee,
Yeah.
it is so good to have you here. You were part of one of my very first video projects. Gosh, I think it goes back now, man, it's probably 10 years ago. And we were doing some streaming back then. We didn't even know what the possibilities were. But Lee, if you can for a second, just take us through your career in a nutshell. I know when you read Creating Magic, it is like a story. It's like a movie script that can be written. But tell everybody a bit about your background, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, well, it's a little unusual. I grew up on a farm in Oklahoma. We were very poor. We didn't even have indoor plumbing. My brother didn't, and I just said we didn't know that was a problem because kids don't notice that stuff. We had dinner every night, so we were happy. My mother was pretty busy. She was married 5 times. I've been adopted twice. Got my name Cockerell when I was 16 by husband number 4. Luckily, she married a guy that had money then, and I got to go to college. And
Nice.
I went to Oklahoma State for 2 years. Basically forgot to go to class, so I didn't do too well. And I left, went in the Army in 1964, and it was a good thing for me. That's probably what I needed first, was that discipline and that leadership that you get. And there's one way to do it. You do it the Army way, and I learned a lot.
Right.
Don't be going around doing your thing every day. And then I went to Washington, D.C. and got a job as a banquet waiter at the Washington Hilton. I met a guy in the Army. We went together. Got there in March 1st, 1965. The hotel opened March 15th. That's a hotel where John Hinckley shot President Reagan back in the early 80s. And I worked there for Hilton for 8 years. I met my wife at that Hilton. We moved to Chicago Hilton. We moved to the Waldorf Astoria in New York. We moved to Tarrytown Hilton up by the Tappan Zee Bridge in New York State. We moved to Los Angeles. There I left. I had kind of a situation. I was working 6 days a week. I didn't care for my boss, and I don't think he cared for me that much. And so I quit, took a job in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, doubled my salary, and got fired in 90 days. So now I have no job. I have no money. I have a Volkswagen Bug, a 2-year-old, and I need a job. So I went on the hunt, and finally it took me about 3 months. I got a job with Marriott. Stayed with Marriott 17 years, started in Philadelphia, Chicago, Washington, Massachusetts. We went all over, and had a great career. Became vice president of food and beverage planning for the company worldwide because I had focused on the food business. I've been a cook. I've been a waiter. I've done it. I've been in accounting. So that worked out good. And when I got recruited by Disney in 1990 to go to France and open Disneyland Paris, my wife, I almost tell people she made me do it. She wanted to live in France and Paris. And so we did it. And it turned out to be the best decision I ever made. I tell people, take risks. You never know. It could be a lot better. And it was. And I worked in France for 3 years, became the vice president of the hotel division there. And then they asked me to come to Orlando. I was head of the hotel division in Orlando. And then a couple of years later, I was put in charge of all operations at Walt Disney World. So somewhere along the line, I made people think I knew what I was doing, and they believed me. And I also realized that nobody knows what they're doing. So I was as good as anybody else.
Yeah. Well, you do know what you're doing, Lee. I've had many conversations with you, and so many things, have happened during your time over Walt Disney World Resorts. And it truly is, one of the happiest places. My daughter just graduated high school. She is going down with her boyfriend's family. And I think she gives us the countdown every morning. I think it's 5 days now. something like that. But they're going down for their full Disney vacation and to enjoy it. And, it's one of those things where you don't get tired. I don't ever get tired of going back. There's always something new, always something creative, always a buzz. So as the person in charge of that entire operation, I mean, what did you do when it came to people to keep that freshness going, to keep that magic and that surprise constantly happening when customers were coming back again and again?
Well, that point you just made is the absolute most important point for any business. I always tell people, they said, "Can you tell me the secrets of Disney?" I said, "Sure." I usually say, "Sure, if you pay me." But then the most important thing is hiring the right people. And that's what we do. We're very careful. We don't take that lightly. We hire very slow. And as we say, when we make a mistake, we fire very fast if we can't turn somebody around. But we're putting on a show. Where our goal is put on a hit show. And to put on a hit show, you got to have great people in the show, on the stage, the leading lady, the leading man. The people have got to be great, and the people backstage have to be great. The people that open the curtain and sound systems. And so we hire better than everybody else. And the way we do it is we're extremely clear with people when we're interviewing them about what they're getting into. We don't try to talk them into coming to Disney. We tell them it's hard. It's tough work. It's every minute you're on stage at Disney and you have to perform. And so I think we hire better and we train better, and we probably, I think, treat them better. So I tell people the magic formula is hire them right, train them right, and treat them right. Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned something too about on stage, off stage, backstage. I mean, I think it's a friend of mine, Michael Hyatt, calls it on stage, backstage, off stage. But as a leader, and back to the subject that we were going to talk about today, which is the difference between leading and managing by doing the right things and the hard things. So now we get into the hard part about it for the manager leader, right? One day you're a frontline worker. The next day you're in charge of your coworkers and you're the manager. You've got some big changes to make. So what are the things somebody needs to think about when they become a manager?
Well, I think when that happens, it happened to me in my career. I was a banquet waiter. Next thing I know, I was a food and beverage controller for the food and beverage department. And I think the best thing to do is to communicate with the people and tell them, "Hey, I've got this new job. I'm going to have to do my job. I hope everybody behaves. But if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, I will be speaking to you. And when you're doing a great job, I'll be speaking to you and telling you." And I think that's the key. Don't tell people how you work, what you believe in, what you need them to be doing. Things I tell people: I need you to get back to me on time. I need to get things done on time. I'm very precise about people keeping their promises, doing what they say they're going to do, being reliable, being credible. So just tell people, and that's one thing that's hard. It's hard to get promoted within the same organization where all of a sudden your peers are now you're working leading them, and I say leading because I really, this management thing is a whole different ballgame. But I think just being clear with people. I work with a lot of people who say they want to be liked. Well, that's about the worst road you can go down. I would say you should focus on being fair and firm and tell people that's how we work here. If you are liked, that's a cherry on top. That's a bonus. But it's I said always manage like a mother, with empathy and discipline. Mothers will use them both on you.
Well, and I think in reading your material and talking to you for the hours and hours that I have, I mean, one of the ways to be liked is to listen, if I'm not mistaken, from what you've said. And also to know your people, to know people by name, and to know even things that are going on in their family. I think you even say in creating magic, how's that daughter doing at college? How's that son doing at, prep school, or what's their first job like? Or you mentioned that. So that whole thing of when you transition then from managing to leading to really, like you say, it's not liking, but it's certainly having the respect of people because you take the time to walk around and get to know people. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, I said, when you become a big deal, don't become a big deal. You got to be, when you're in a leadership job, if you want to be effective, you got to be available. Your job's to be a teacher. Your job's not to intimidate people or make them nervous, or when you come around, they wish you wouldn't. You've got to create that culture and environment where that they know you're looking out for their best interests, because that's the best way I can run a great operation. If I have all those people coming in committed and they trust me, and that doesn't happen enough around the world for leaders and managers, that they have that kind of relationship where your people can come tell me anything. I don't need to be telling them everything, and they'll help me run the business, and they'll help keep me out of trouble. And they'll tell me when I'm going down the wrong path. And so I always say, go to the lowest level possible in an organization where the information and judgment is present. Ask them, what do we need to do better around here?
Right.
What do we need to stop doing? What really annoys you? What are the customers complaining about? And what complaints do you have about how hard it is to work here? And so it's
interesting to say that. I mean, I think it was Jim Collins that said in Good to Great, organizations worried about doing the good things. And he said what you just said, which is, how about stopping doing some of the things that don't need to be done or that are done poorly and changing those? So key, and not a concept we often hear, right? So that's one of the right things you mentioned in the title of this, the right things and the wrong things. What are some of the other right things managers, leaders can do?
Well, one thing I always tell people now, your employees, your staff, your team, and your customers know everything you need to know. So make sure you're talking to them and talking to them a lot and listening. And they know more than you do, by the way. The customer knows a lot more than you do about the customer service, and the people working know more. What they need and what the customers don't like. I said, just talk to them. You don't need to hire me to talk to them. you just talk to your people. Tell them, what do we need to do around here? Help me run this thing. What don't you like? It's simple. And customers are glad to tell you what they like and don't like if you're not defensive and you don't ignore them, and at the end that you do something about it when you learn something. So people can say, hey, it works when you talk to him. Things get better around here. So that's one thing everybody can do.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And then, so, when it comes to the differences between being a manager and being a leader, what are those distinctions? What's the difference between a manager and a leader? Many people think those are the same things, Lee.
Yeah, I do a lot of work for the military, and I did some 13 seminars for them in Iraq during the war, and went to Baghdad, and I gave a presentation on the difference between training and development. And at the end, they said, wow, we've never thought of that. We've always thought they were the same. And I think most people do. To me, training is when you get a group of people in a room or somehow, and you teach them how to do something. That's training. When we're done, you can do it. It's not that emotional. Development is when you have to sit in a room with somebody one-on-one and talk to them about their attitude, coming to work late, the way they speak to people, telling inappropriate jokes, sexual harassment, being inappropriate, development. And a lot of people are doing a lot of training, but they're not doing enough development. And that's what gets people in trouble. People don't get in trouble for their technical expertise. People know how to do their job because we do a good job of training most organizations. People get in trouble because their attitude and their behavior and inappropriateness and lack of respect. And that's it, beginning and the end. If you see every leader who fails, whether it's in Congress or in any leadership position in the world, including churches, and this is what happens. It's a behavioral issue. It's a bad decision issue, and they knew they were making a bad decision when they did.
Yeah.
If I think the discipline to do the right thing, it's not easy. It's not hard to misbehave. I mean, it's not. You've got to really have it up in the brain that I'm not going to do that.
There's a woman a couple of rooms over from here that can guarantee you that I've misbehaved a couple of times. So yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's easy,
especially men.
Absolutely.
So you just got to keep that in mind. You're probably doing a lot of training. Are you doing enough development? Are you sitting down with your people and tell them what they're doing well, what they need to do better, and what they got to stop doing? Because that your mother would do it in a second. She wouldn't put up with that nonsense. and
Yeah.
she loves you. And if you respect your people, you take the same approach. That's your
Yeah.
job. You decided to be a leader. I say if you can't have hard conversations and make hard decisions, don't have kids, first of all. And second, don't become a leader,
Yeah.
because that's all you do. There's nothing else. The higher you go, the less training you actually do, because you don't know what's going on as you get up, and you have a lot of different things going on in reports and finance and marketing. So you are leading, you're not managing, and you hire people to do those expertise things.
Yep.
And I think this is so simple that people do. And then we hire great people, we pay them a lot of money, and then we micromanage them. We tell them, you got to come to me every time you want to make a decision. I don't do that. They know what they need to do. They can come to me if they want to, but they pretty much have authority. They know what their level of authority is. They know what they can do and can't do. They know how financial responsibility they have. They have a budget. They don't need to be coming to me.
Right.
And so that's how I think about it. And first of all, I don't know much about all those things that engineers do, and retail people, and security, and transportation, and maintenance. Those are very individual things that you got to have experts around you to be successful today in big businesses, or any business, frankly.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So Lee, your connection obviously to Disney is very, very strong, and your position of being over all of Walt Disney World resorts. You have a saying about the magic, which I don't want to ruin it. So I want to make sure you say it so it's done right. But tell me about that, because part of this is the management aspect of it, the people part of it, about creating magic.
Well, I said, and I learned that at Disney. It's not magic that makes Disney World work. Disney uses that word a lot, and people and the customers do. Oh, it's a magical experience and all. And I just remind leaders and managers of people trying to get results. It's not magic that makes it work. It's the way we work that makes it magical. And
there it is.
We hire better, we train better, we treat better, we have better systems, we have better procedures, operating guidelines, rules, regulations. We worry about safety first. And when you think about it, there are only two things mothers and parents are worried about are safety and education. That's all they worry about their whole life. And if leaders would start worrying about safety and education, and then using empathy and discipline, that's about four things. You get those right, you're going to get a lot of support in your business, and you're going to get people committed, which means they'll go all the way for you. Commitment's different than interest. I want you committed to me, and I want you committed to the job. And it's like being committed to your family. You'll do anything for your family, or committed to your children, and there's no exceptions. So, and when you treat people right and train them and develop them and give them a future and a better life to look forward to, they will be committed. They won't walk away from that job for another $1 an hour. They won't. We don't leave environments that make us feel like we matter. We leave environments. Most people that leave Disney still leave because of the boss. I don't hear you right now.
What an amazing time to make that statement. I read in the Wall Street Journal the other day that we are at the point where people are leaving jobs at a faster rate in 21 years. 2000 was the last time the record was set that people were resigning as quickly as they are. And we all know there's two things going on here, three actually. One is unemployment is down, but two is people can't hire people, and three is that turnover is high. So you've got this conundrum, this thing going on. And here you make a simple statement. If you treat the people that currently work for you well, and they're paid a decent wage, why are they going to go anywhere else?
They're not.
Yeah.
But during this pandemic, they've been enlightened. They've become more aware that there's more to life than being a slave to your job and not being appreciated and have no future. And nobody's talking to you about your aspirations, what you'd like to do. They're not helping you with your training, development, and coaching and counseling. I say today, if I was hiring people today, you got to offer them more than a salary. You're not going to keep them with just a salary. You got this. What else is in it here for me? What about my future? What about me? And if you don't pay attention to that, I don't care what level of job is, the lowest level position in your company, you better give that person something to look forward to, so they don't go down the street for another $1 an hour, or where it's easier to park, or whether, to work at Disney is hard, by the way. You got to drive, you got to park, it's security, you got to get through, you got to get your costume, you got to look sharp, you got to have your name tag on. It's a hassle. But if you treat me right, I'm not going to leave. I'm not going to walk away, because I know you care about me, and everybody wants to matter. And if you don't make people know they matter, you're these days, especially young people will not put up with this nonsense anymore. They walk away in a minute.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you say working at Disney is hard. There's got to be a level of intensity, right, throughout the day, because you mentioned you're on. If you're one of the people that's out there with the public, and I've written many times about the street sweeper in Disney World. How important a part of the operation that is, or the person who's making up the rooms in the hotel or working the lobby. I mean, these people look like they have, quote unquote, unimportant jobs, when in reality, they are some of the most important jobs in the world and filled with that intensity. Tell everybody about that. Why are those types of jobs so important?
Well, Disney, we flaunt, come to Disney World where it's friendly and it's clean and it's organized. Well, those streets don't get clean by themselves. And that little thing, the image you have when you walk there, and people talk about that. Everybody goes to the bathroom, by the way. That's why our bathrooms need to be, sometimes we used to clean them every 30 minutes. And when we started getting feedback that it was not tidy, there were paper towels on the floor and that sort of thing, we start cleaning them every 15 minutes. We've got to stay on top of those basics. Too many people get bored with the basics in life: cleanliness, friendliness, safety. Parents around the world want to take their kids and their families to a place that's safe for vacation. And that's many people come to Disney. We have a lot of single women who come to Disney together to go to the downtown Disney or the Disney Springs and go to the place bars and restaurants because they know it's safe. And so safety is a big deal these days. And the customer knows that we provide it. I mean,
absolutely.
Disney World is a zip code in America, by the way.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of facts about Disney World that are just astronomical, like the wine business in Disney World and just how huge that is, and we don't think about those kinds of things because it's it's thought of one place, but it's just incredible how much there is. When I look at your book, you have 7 guest service guidelines that I love, based on the 7 dwarfs. I'll just give a couple because I want people to go and buy the book, right? Creating Magic, but you say, be happy, make eye contact and smile. Lee, I can't tell you how much that just irks me that you cannot walk into a store these days and have someone do those 2 things, make eye contact and smile. The indifference there blows me away. And then you say, be like Sneezy, greet and welcome each and every guest, spread the spirit of hospitality. It's contagious. Sensitive words there these days, contagious, but it's true, right? So this stuff works, and I'll throw one more thing out there, and then we'll kind of break a couple of them down. You say, don't be dopey. Thank each and every guest, or in generality, each and every customer. So those basic tenets of leading people and managing people to do those kinds of things. Why is it so hard? Why is it so difficult to get people to do that kind of stuff?
I think it's hard. It's not hard. It's people are not committed to doing it. At Disney, it's not hard. It happens. And we say, when you hire people, the problem is you're not clear with them about the expectations. Those 7 service guidelines, we are very clear that those are how it works around here. We're putting on a show. And if you go into a store where people are not smiling and thanking you and doing stupid things, that's a manager's fault. That's a general manager, the owner. That's nobody else's fault. Mr. Marriott told me years ago, if you have flies in your restaurants, you like flies. Well, if you had a dirty bathroom in your business, you like it. And so we got to quit blaming people and quit blaming the guy that cleans the bathroom. Find the general manager, and quit blaming the waiter. Find the manager of the restaurant, and you get what you want. Excellence is a state of mind. If you want it, you get it. If you have rude kids, that must be what you want. And on and on and on and on. And it's so simple. Be clear, clarity of expectations, be firm, be fair. And remember, you're putting on a show, so they need to know what they're supposed to do and not do. That's how the show is consistent. Every day, the same show.
Yeah. That's incredible. And that goes back to your statement. Say it one more time about magic and the work. Say it one more time.
Yeah, it's not magic that makes Disney World work. It's the way we work that makes it magical. And so really, that's in any business. I don't care if you go into a bank. Yeah. You can have great people in that bank, and you can have people that had a bad night. I mean, it's and clarity of expectations. Be clear like your mother was. Remember when your mother used to look at you and say, "Do you understand what I just told you?"
Yeah, there was a finger when you said that at the same time. Yeah.
And if you didn't do what you're supposed to do to become a good person, your mother dealt with it.
Yeah.
Because it's for you, it's not for her. And we just got it. Leadership is hard, and you got to do the hard things. And if you can't do the hard things, you shouldn't be in a leadership job. You ought to go lock yourself in a room and do something. I don't know what. Don't talk to people, because that's all you do all day long. I don't care what job it is. It's about the people. It's never about the product. And that's how it gets better.
Yeah, and it's interesting for those people that aren't, quite leaders yet or managers yet. I mean, it's exhausting, to be really honest. It is. You come home tired at the end of the day if you do it right. If you're not doing it right, you're probably not all that tired. But if you're doing it right, it is many, many conversations, and it is correcting, saying it again, saying it again, saying it again, and saying it one more time. I think there's a number out there that, once you said it 30 times, that's just about when people are hearing you.
Right. And your mother's not tired at the end of the day for doing the dishes. She's tired from raising you.
Yeah.
Dealing with
and these days we have to say the father too, because there's a lot of fathers out there raising.
Father too.
Yeah. A lot of fathers out there raising kids.
Fathers are working on the 10-year plan. Moms are working on today.
Yeah. Well, it's so true. It really is. So, Lee, when you look back on your career, and you look back on what you created in yourself, meaning you're a guy out of the Army, waiting tables, Flash, movie journey through the time tunnel. You're now the executive vice president of all of Walt Disney World Resorts. How were you the same guy that day, and how were you a different person that day?
Well, I had no idea I could do anything. I knew nothing when I was 20 years old. I didn't read the paper. I didn't watch the news. I absolutely knew nothing. But I think also a lot of it is I was raised, I raised in Oklahoma on a farm where you had to work. We worked every day, even as kids. We had chores to do. We had to milk cows, and we had to help feed, and we had to sit on the back of the baler when we baled the hay in the summer and make sure that it tied properly. And so I don't think enough kids work today. I think getting that experience where you have to work with other people, be on time, do your job, be reliable, be credible, that pays off. And I said 2 reasons I was successful without a college degree is I have a good attitude, and even when I have a bad attitude, you're not going to know it. And I have a good attitude, and I am very reliable. And I think those 2 things alone people can think about: reliability, and I want people to trust me. And if people don't trust you, you can't get anything done. And some people say, well, I kind of trust him. No, that's not good enough. We know, the people in your life you trust 150%, and the people you don't. Yeah. And you smile at both of them, but deep down who you can count on.
Yeah.
And so do I, and so do we. And I want people to count on me, especially I can make their life miserable, or I can make it better. And why shouldn't I make it better? I mean, if I have the authority and the position, why not? I mean, it's like there's no upside to treating people badly. None. I said, if you think there is, try it on your wife and see how that works out.
No, well, that's absolutely true, number one. Number two, I mean, so many kids, too, you talk about working since you're young and having those values. My 3 daughters have always worked all through high school. And I've seen various types of people treat them certain ways, but it's the ones that take a vested interest in them and also help them understand what they're learning at the time at this quote unquote menial part-time job that's just a stepping stone in life, they'll come away with a lesson. And in fact, my youngest is doing an internship at our local airport right now, and I couldn't be more thrilled with the leader that she works with there. But so, let's get to today's managers too. Here's a great question somebody has asked, Lee. What's the best way to manage constant requests for raises? And this comes from Steve Axtell, who's out in California. He runs an amazing company called Axtell Expressions. You were actually a guest not long ago on one of his live streams with me. But Steve wants to know, what's the best way to manage constant requests for raises?
Well, I learned that when you hire people, you tell them, look, here's the job you're taking. Here's what it pays. Here's when you get an increase. Here's how you get an increase. Here's how you get a promotion. So if you learn more and you can do more and you're more reliable, you can move into this job. But the one you make pays this. If you want that one, you got to go back to school, take seminars, get better, get more reliable, do your job better. There's jobs that pay this and there's jobs that pay that. And we have jobs that pay $13, $14, $15 an hour at Disney, and we have jobs that pay $25 an hour. And that's maybe in maintenance. That's another thing. So if you want to be in maintenance, go learn how to be an electrician. You can make more. That's the name of the game. It's supply and demand in the world. If you've got enough to offer and I got something I need done, I can pay you more. And so every company has different level jobs, but we get too involved in this. The company owes me. The company owes you nothing. The company owes you a good professional place to work. And then you can, if I'd have sat around and said I wanted an increase every day when I started out, I'm sure my bosses would have just ignored me. But I did. I made them so reliable on me. They knew I was there. I was available. I'd do anything. Next thing I know, I got promoted. And then I did a great job and I got promoted again and I got promoted again. And it was hard. And I was working 6 days a week and going in early and coming in, working on weekends. Well, you got to do the hard things if you want it to work out, because life gets harder if you don't do the hard things. And I just say, be clear with people when you're right up front. Here's how the salaries work here. And then you can remind them that. Remember that conversation we had when you went to work here? You want to make more money? I have 6 jobs over here that pay more money, but you haven't taken the right training, and you don't have the right attitude. And when you do, you can move into that. I mean, that's, some jobs pay more than others. That's life. That's if you want those jobs, go. I used to tell people, if you want my job, go apply for it. God bless you. If you're qualified to do it, I'm sure they'll be happy to have another person. But on the other hand, all of us need to make sure we've got it squared away fairly. Are we underpaying and expecting more? But I would say, even when I was underpaid, I still did a great job.
Yeah.
So, well, basically, so I could get out of that job.
Yeah. Well, and it's so true. That's the way, I guess, my dad raised me. And I think 1984, 85, 86, I think we're actually in the same neighborhood at that point in time. I was across the river in Hackensack, New Jersey. And I remember going to my boss, Jim Brown, saying, "Hey, Jim, what do I get for doing this?" He says, "You know what? You get to keep your job. That's what you get." In other words, keep on plugging away, pal. Keep on doing it. So, Steve would like to thank you for your advice there, by the way, too.
I never one time went and asked for more money. I always got it, though. It was given to me. I didn't ask for it. And I would say that other thing we were talking about a minute ago, try to be the kind of manager and the kind of leader. Be that leader you hope your kids have when they go in the workforce.
Exactly.
Be the leader you want your children to have. And your mother to have, your sister to have, your brother to have. We tell people in hospitals that. Be the nurse that looks in that bed and sees their mother, their daughter, their sister. And when you do that, you'll be different. And even though some of the employees are difficult, well, so are some of your kids. You've got to deal with difficult. And you got to talk to them, and you got to tell them the facts of life. But if you're not doing that, you're not doing your job.
Yeah. Well, this next comment, it's a common question, really. I'm going to add the question to it. Gina Meter asks, waiting for my breakfast reservations at Chef Disney. I love the kindness of all the employees in Disney. Come often, never encounter a bad employee. So that comes back to what you just said, Lee. First of all, a couple of things you said. You've hired right. You've hired the right people. But then you've got leaders and managers that are treating people a certain way. So can you expand a bit more on Gina's comment and why she finds that every time she goes back for the Disney experience?
Well, we think the formula for excellence anywhere is it's not the guest doesn't come first, leadership comes first. And basically, it's thinking like this: leaders create a great environment, a trusting environment, a respectful environment, so that the cast members at Disney or the employees in your business want to do the work. They want to come in. They want to. They don't have to. They want to because the way they're treated. And when they're treated that way, they treat the guests that way because they want to, not because we make them. And when you do that, you make more money and you have better business results. So it's leadership creates the environment for the cast members. They're the ones that create the magic, not the management. The management just creates the culture and environment and making sure they're treated right and have the resources they need. And we're available for them when they're having a problem or an issue. And our managers are out on the floor. They're not sitting in an office somewhere. They're out there to help. And so without great leaders, you're not going to have that environment and culture. We all know what a culture looks like when you have bad management and they're treating people badly and the place is dirty. And we all know. It's leadership. Sets just like the parents. Great parents create great kids, and it's hard. So you got to think about, do you have the right leaders in place? And the guests will end up being quite happy when that happens because people leave, as we say, they don't leave Disney. They leave their leader if they leave. They don't leave Disney.
No, it's so true. I mean, I've had some Disney experiences. One that I always love to talk about. Many years ago, my daughter, who's now 18, brought her to France, brought her to the French restaurant. And Remy was there. He was animated. There was a puppeteer that made him work. It was just incredible. He would lift the lid on the cart on the tray, and there would be Remy, and he would interact. So fast forward to a few years ago, I bring my granddaughter and our family there, and I say to the manager, "Where's Remy? Why is Remy not coming table to table?" He was new, as often you recruit in Epcot directly from France. And he wasn't aware that Remy had been a feature. And I explained it to him and why we came back to the restaurant. But, he apologized and I went about my meal. We went about our meal. About 15, 20 minutes later, the manager comes over. He's got his hand behind his back. And he says to my granddaughter, who's a little baby, she's probably 2-3 years old. She's in a high chair. He says, "Someone has come to see you." And from behind his back, he's got about the same size as the puppet, the perfect little Remy doll that someone has run out and grabbed somewhere from a gift shop and gives that to my granddaughter, who gives it a giant hug, and he didn't need to do that. He didn't need to make that magic happen. But say it again, Lee. It's not the magic that makes it work, right? It's the work that makes it magic. Did I get it right?
Work.
Yeah.
And all the cast members have the authority to do that. We don't make them figure this out. We let them. Let it happen. And this happens over and over across Disney every single day, and many different kinds of examples like you just gave, because the cast member wants to. And it's really, if people can get that in their brain, get the right people, you'll just be happy as you can be.
Yeah, it really is quite amazing. I think too, my youngest sister was Down syndrome, but my mom would go to the A&P, and the guy behind the deli counter always gave her a piece of cheese while she was waiting for her cold cuts. My sister, that's the stuff. I mean, that's the stuff. It's not that hard,
Absolutely. And they, when we go to France every summer, they still do that in the market. They hand you some cherries or a piece of cheese, and you end up buying $40 worth and you're happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's, and you don't do it with that sole intent in mind. You do it because it's the right thing for the customer. And I go back to our conversation about the fact that we are setting records right now here in 2021 for people leaving their jobs. And you said it before, people don't leave Disney, they leave their manager. They leave the person that's leading them. So as we kind of wrap up here in a couple of minutes here, Lee, the subject of managing and leading, how do you become the manager leader that people want to work for, that people want to stay with?
Yeah, I'd say I define the difference between management and leadership. Management's getting things done. You got a day planner, you put it in there, you get it done, you check it off. That's management. Management is the act of controlling. You're supposed to keep your business under control. It's checking off the bathrooms are clean, check off the training, check, 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 check. Management's about doing. Leadership's about being there for your people, being a person of integrity, being a person who can make hard decisions, being a person who can have hard conversations, being a person who's available when you need them, being. And we need to keep training, but we all could be better. We could all be dramatically better. And I would think 99% of the people in the world agree with that.
Yeah.
So be better, keep training, but be there and be there for them and be there with them and be there when they need you. And it's not what you do, it's who you are.
Yeah.
They can count. They know you'll be there. And, if I know you'll be there, I'm going to probably stay in that organization.
Yeah.
If I don't trust you and you let me down, you don't do what you say you're going to do, and you don't get back to me, and it's easy to leave. It's too easy to leave. And so it's just that basic. It's that simple, I guess I say.
Yeah. Well, and you raised an interesting point too. I know there's tons of training that goes into being a Disney employee. I know there's lots of culture that people have to go through culture training. Then they've got to learn the specifics of their job. And then they have to learn the specific things they have to do each day at the time of day, whether you say it's cleaning the bathroom every 15 minutes to making sure something gets done. Yet you also pointed out the example that I gave, going out and buying the Remy doll, that there's still plenty of room for the employee to be the employee. Am I right?
Absolutely. And if you're in a business, you might have your employees keep some of those things in your pocket or over on the side just when these kinds of things happen. If you have older people, you may have different things. If you have young kids, you have some other things, and you just do it. And it becomes part of the culture that we do this, because at the end of the day, if you keep kids happy, by the way, parents are very happy.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Hey, Gina just sent this comment. Gina, tell us if you're still there in the comments. Are you at Disney World right now? Because you say in the present tense, you have awesome leadership because I love it here. So tell us if you're there right now. I just find that kind of interesting. Yeah. But Steve says so true to everything you're saying. So, Lee, there really is so much to all of this. I want to remind people too, as we're kind of wrapping up, and we'll wait for Gina to respond for a minute or two. You are just literally a library of knowledge. You've got 4 books out there right now. Creating Magic, which to me is the foundation of everything you do. Hey, Lee, there's the comment. Gina is at Disney World watching this live stream right now. Gina,
good.
That is incredible. We hope you're having a great time down there, and it's incredible. Tell a few of the folks that have been around for a while. You're watching Lee Cockerell. They all know him. They all know who he is. He is a legend. So absolutely. And by the way, Gina, if you go to the gift shop down there, if you go to some of the stores, you'll find these books on the shelves. By the way, I've been there. I've seen it. These books are there. And then you've got Time Management Magic, which, you are a big daytimer guy. I have been a big daytimer guy for a long time. I've switched up a little bit with electronics now with having my Google Calendar and how I utilize that. Same theories, though, and you can adopt every lesson from Lee's book in Time Management Magic to your Google Calendar and your tasks in Google. It's great. But then the customer rules, if you own a business, if you work in a business, if you interface with a customer at any point in time in your life, most of us do in the service industries, all industries, this is the book to read. And then, of course, Career Magic, which, Lee, I have to admit, I haven't read Career Magic yet. Tell me what we're going to find in Career Magic.
Well, I wrote that for people who need to learn how to overcome obstacles in their life, that they're going to happen, whether you like it or not. It could be your fault, might not be. And I just take them through the things that I did through my career, the kinds of surprises I got, how I handled them, when I got fired, when I got passed over, when I had a boss that was really difficult. I talked about family issues when I went through anxiety and depression when my wife was sick a few years ago, and how I dealt with that and what I had to do to get over it. And I just talked, and kids, and how to, all the kinds of things. All you do every day is deal with obstacles. from traffic to you name it. And I just wanted people to have a kind of a roadmap, but it's not just, you're not alone. This happens to every single person. So when it looks like it's the worst, when I was fired, I ended up with the best career in the world. Everything, when it gets to the low point, it can only get better, but you got to pick yourself up, go out there, keep going, do it again. And most people who don't have a successful career give up too early. Einstein said, I'm not smarter than anybody else. I just work on the problem longer. So I was like, don't stop, don't quit.
Yeah, well, your books, by the way, if you want to, you might not get an MBA, but you're going to get a LBA in reading these 4 books. You are going to learn a tremendous amount about real life work and business, and I think it's just incredible that you've taken the time to write these books. You also have a podcast, Lee, Creating Disney Magic. People can find it on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere that podcasts are available. And you and your co-host do a fantastic job there. Gina piped in and says, awesome, thanks, Alan Lee. It's time to eat at Chef Mickey's. Go! Enjoy that.
And Lee, and I might add one thing now. I have a new product, Cockerell Academy. It's an online learning system. People could go to cockerellacademy.com if they're interested in it.
I should have been ready and had that slide up here, Lee. I will say it again.
Yeah, no problem.
Yep. cockerellacademy.com. And then the latest creation for folks that are just joining us. This gentleman on the left is Dan Cockerell, Lee's son, and his daughter-in-law, Valerie. Dan, I met while he was still the vice president over the Magic Kingdom. Fabulous guy. I wonder where he learned all those lessons on how to manage and lead, Lee. I don't know. But you know what I love about Dan's story is his first job was not assistant to the executive vice president of Disney World. What was Dan's first job?
He worked in the parking lot at Disney World, learning how to park cars. And they told him, and he had a degree from Boston University. And I was good with that, because I think you should start at the bottom and work your way up. But he said they told him, Dan, everything we do in parking is there for a reason. Don't move one of those orange cones. Don't do it. Do it the way we teach you. And he learned a lot. And then he went to France and he worked in the parking lot at Euro Disney, and he learned to speak French, married a French lady, and has 3 beautiful kids that are half French. So see, Disney offers you a lot if you get involved.
There you go. There you go. That's exactly it, for sure. Well, I'd love to be able to get the whole crew together here. So, folks, keep an eye out for that. Maybe we'll get everybody who's a part of this new book, Hardwiring Magic, together on a live stream, and that would be delightful. Well, Lee Cockerell, you are one of my favorite people. You have said yes to me every time I've had these wacky ideas. If you want to go back and find some of the previous episodes of what I've done, you can find them here on my social media channels. And we're going to also move over some of the earlier videos where Lee, I think you told me the other day, the first time you live streamed and did something like that was with me. Is that right?
I'm pretty sure it did, because I didn't even know it was possible. Somebody asked me if I wanted to do a podcast. I said, I don't even know what a podcast is. That was 7 years ago. So, well, it's
incredible. Yeah. You never do stop learning, and I look forward to being down there and seeing you in person again real soon. But until then, Lee, I'm going to talk to you and Dan, and we're going to try to put that together for the new book, because I think people would really get a lot out of that. So I'm going to ask you to stick around backstage. I'm gonna put you back there so I can say a proper goodbye. But Lee, thank you for being here today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Well, I got to tell you, they don't come much better than Lee Cockerell. He's just an amazing guy with an amazing background, and he offers so much. And I am just so thrilled to have him here as my guest once again. I do want to remind you, take one more look at these books. Go out to Amazon, go to your local bookstore if you can. If you're like Gina and you're in Disney World, they're there on the shelves in the gift shops. Trust me. Lee's books are just absolutely positively I just coined that new phrase, a libier. It just incredible stuff. So go out and get his books. But until next time, watch for an indication on your LinkedIn profile or on your Facebook profile when I'm back live with a guest coming up next week. We'll see you real soon here at Al Getler Live. Take care.